So once again, Thursday is D-Day for the Law Society of Kenya as lawyers prepare to participate in an election exercise that will see several posts occupied, including the chairman's position. Formed in 1948, LSK is tasked with maintaining and promoting the rule of law in the country by ensuring an independent and efficient legal profession serves the people. Now, last week we had two candidates to the chairman's position. That was Charles Kanjama and Ambrose Weda. Today we have the honor of having Eric Mutua, who's the current chairman. Welcome to the Power Breakfast Show. You didn't make it the last time.
Yes, I was in Kisumu.
Aha.
Yes.
Because the feeling was perhaps you didn't want to be with the rest. Perhaps you could clarify.
Well, I never shy away from a debate, and I've really nothing to hide when it comes to a debate. And I think I had mentioned very well that I've been in Kisumu, and we had a CLA in Kisumu, and that is where I was on Thursday evening and on Friday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right. So, you want to be chairman for the second term again?
Yes.
I mean, a bit of a concern there.
Well, one, the law allows me to run for a second term because in the year 2008, there was an amendment to the Law Society of Kenya Act to the effect that one would be able to run for a 2-year term for a second term. That is the amendment which were introduced in 2008. That is why, in fact, somebody like Okongo Mogeni served 3 years in the helm at the Law Society, because he served the first year, which the law had not been amended, which was for 1-year term. Then after the law was amended for a 2-year term, he ran for another 2 years.
But the guys who are here, your opponents, are claiming that you are going against tradition, that you do 2 terms, and you surrender. And
in fact, tradition has been that every chairperson of the Law Society of Kenya serves 2 terms from time immemorial. They used to serve 1-year term, then it is renewed for another 1 year. But the law in 2008 was amended that the term of service is 2 years. So you get renewed, you get a renewal of your term. That is what the law now provides. Yes.
All right. For second term, are you trying to say there's some unfinished business that you'd want to finish for this second term?
Well, there is unfinished business and there's a concern. Let me start with the concern. If you look at our country at the moment, where our country is, in terms of democracy, in terms of rule of law, I still believe very strongly that the Law Society of Kenya, which may be the only voice which is remaining unsilenced, let me use that word, because the civil society is almost gone. There is an attempt to muzzle the media. And since we are a statutory body, you need a chairperson who can be able to hold people to account, who can stand very firm when it comes to the rule of law, who is in a position to defend the Constitution without wavering. And that is, in my view, that candidate ought to be me. With respect to my colleagues, and I don't want to go into an attack, but with respect to their past conduct or pronouncements, I highly doubt that they can be firm when it comes to the rule of law.
They were claiming that you just address, you do your things publicly.
Yes.
That when it comes to things like when the president gets misadvised,
yes,
which you should call him and tell him, Mr. President, this is wrong. You appointed these people in the wrong way. This is the wrong approach. You have missed. Instead of making a public utterance. And that is, according to them, is better.
Let me tell you, one of the things we do at the Law Society of Kenya is that if something is wrong and we believe that it ought to be corrected, we first write, which is a petition. We petition. We always make a record. We petition the president and say this is wrong and this ought to be corrected. But since we know that there is a possibility that that petition can be ignored, we put pressure, and the only way we do put pressure is to go public about
Mr. Wada was claiming that he can't remember any time you ever wrote a letter. or a petition?
Letters are written by the CEO, so I instruct the CEO to do a letter, and the CEO does letters, and unless he is privy to what the CEO does, then probably he can be able to argue that way, but always letters are done. I'll give you an example. When Parliament passed the bill on the Third Party Insurance Risk Act, CAP 405, we wrote to the
There
president.
is the matter also, that
yes,
one.
we wrote to the president and told the president, we petitioned and said, because of the fact that there is a decision from court which declared another set of law of this nature as unconstitutional, because of the fact that when it comes to assessment of how much a person is to be paid following an injury, there must be an expert evidence of a doctor. Because of all these reasons, we plead with you not to sign this bill into law, not to assent this bill into law. That is a letter which we wrote, and they know, Mr. Weda, my colleague advocate, and Mr. Charles Kanjama, they all know that we did that. And we always do these letters. And since the president did not heed our advice, we have gone to court over it. And that is how we act. And I mean, it's a tradition from the Law Society since time immemorial that letters are written. But since most of the times the letters are ignored, then the next step is to go public and advocate and put pressure. That is, and it works. For instance, I can give you an instance when the other day, I think about this in January, yes, the Cabinet Secretary for Planning did appoint a lawyer to a tribunal, the Standards Tribunal. And we believe that since the law is very clear that the chairperson must be a lawyer, we don't want to waste time writing letters to this person. So I just posted in the Facebook, in social media, and said this is contrary to the law. And I mean, the Cabinet Secretary, I thank them for that. He listened to what I said, and immediately, in a week's time, he degazetted that appointment.
All
Yes.
right. You talked about the concern. What about the unfinished business?
Yes, the unfinished business. We are launching what we call an LSK International Arbitration Center. I always keep on reminding people that Nairobi is the international commercial hub of both East and Central Africa. And if it's a commercial hub for East and Central Africa, and we do not have an international arbitration center, we get lawyers who undertake arbitrations moving to either South Africa, Nigeria, Malaysia, for purposes of conducting international arbitration. Now Rwanda is set up an international arbitration center, and mostly people will be moving to Rwanda to undertake the international arbitrations. And Nairobi being in that kind of a privileged position in terms of commercial transactions, it ought to have an international arbitration center. And the members of the Law Society in an AGM passed a resolution that we ought to develop our property and come up with an international arbitration center. That is a project which requires somebody who believes in the benefits of that project, not just for the Law Society of Kenya members, but for the entire public.
The beef with that project is that you are making lawyers who want 20,000, 40,000 to contribute. But they were saying is it the CPA, the accountants or whoever, or even the doctors. They are buying properties through maybe taking loans, not asking young lawyers who have no jobs to contribute.
Unfortunately, I would say that people have resorted to propaganda. The Council of the Law Society and the chairman of the Law Society does not have any mandate under the law to impose financial obligations on members of the Law Society. Financial obligations are imposed by an AGM. That is why whatever issues relating to the funding of a project must go to the annual general meeting. In fact, by good luck, the notice convening the meeting for the AGM on the 17th of March, it has one of the agendas as the LSK International Arbitration Center. And that is where resolutions are going to be made. It is not an issue of council making a decision. I normally give people an example of the Gitanga Road property, which we purchased under the helm of Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi. And I remember before the resolution went through into purchasing the property, into people contributing 5,000 shillings, The motion came to the AGM twice and it was defeated. It is only on the third attempt that it went through. So when it comes to finances, unless someone is ignorant of the law, and I don't think is either Abros Wenda or Charles Kanjama are ignorant of the law, because they sit in my board, they sit in my council, and they know that that is not possible, that has not happened. And in fact, because of that propaganda, the CEO, who is custodian of all the minutes of the Law Society of Kenya, has made a notice to all the membership and told them, look, this is propaganda, this is what the law says, and these are the steps towards the International Arbitration Center. So, I mean, it's unfortunate that one would introduce propaganda in a serious issue like this one, which is a member's issue.
Right. Of course, something that raised with two candidates